The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, my name is Soman Mondel. I am calling from Field ID, and thank you everyone for joining today. We're really excited to show our system and to tell you a little bit about our company. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to wait for a couple more minutes just to make sure that we have all the attendees show up. There were quite a number of people that came. So in the meantime, I'm just going to wait 2 more minutes. If anyone has any questions, please, please feel free to use the question box at the very right of your screen. And we're going to leave the end of the presentation. So we have about 45 minutes scheduled. I want to leave as much time for question and answer as possible. So we're definitely going to leave about 20 to 25 minutes towards the end so people can ask questions. But as we wait for the next couple of minutes, please let me know if you have any questions before I start. So thanks again. I'm just going to take 2 more minutes to wait for a couple more people to join. Thank you very much. Hello everyone. I'm going to start the presentation now, and I'm going to start off with a quick PowerPoint presentation, and I'm going to go right into the software so you can see what a lot of other companies, a lot of other lifting and rigging organizations around the world are using to automate their inspections. You should see the next slide soon. So who are we? We are Field ID, and we are based out of downtown Toronto in Canada. Everything that we do from development to support is done within Canada, but we do service lifting and rigging organizations literally across the world. In regards to North America, where we got our start, we have 50 to 60 organizations, starting from companies like Surtex USA, to Unirope up in Canada, to SlingMax dealers across North America. I'm sure some of the logos are familiar to you. At the bottom, I wanted to show some of our newer customers. So as you might have known, we have actively started to sell Field ID within Europe. Recently, Surtex Europe has signed up with Field ID, including other global organizations such as Franklin Offshore, and most recently Siemens as well. Field ID not only sells to rigging organizations, but we also sell to end users. So this is where we always look for partnerships with companies like yourselves who want to introduce a system to their customers as well. We have global organizations such as Rio Tinto, GE, Siemens, ThyssenKrupp, even companies like Cirque du Soleil. So we really are all over the map in regards to who our customers are. As I mentioned, we are in downtown Toronto in Canada, so if you ever come to Canada, please drop by our offices. When you think about our offices, it's kind of what you would imagine a software company would be. It's very open. It's kind of what you see when you think of Google's offices. We have a very a great staff here who do everything from development to support to sales. So enough about our company. Let me start telling you about Field ID. Field ID is our flagship product, and it allows you to automate everything in your LOLER certification, whether it's a inspection in the field, whether it's identification. Field ID automates the identification process using advanced technology such as RFID, barcodes, and serial numbers. We get rid of the clipboard by using mobile devices, and we use the web to completely eliminate paper. Looking at Field ID by the numbers, there are literally over 1 million assets being tracked. So that's over 1 million chain slings, synthetic slings, etc. There are over 1,500 people using handheld devices and Field ID, and over 13,000 organizations accessing Field ID for their safety information. So why are we here today? Firstly, most of our customers in North America and now in Europe and across the world want to eliminate paperwork. How do you access your LOLER certificates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? This is where Field ID provides you with a quick online system to find that information anytime. So what does this mean to you? This means you can offer this to your customers. You can tell them, look, we have certificates available any day of the week, as well as for end users. If there's ever an accident or an injury investigation or an audit, you have this information available. So the biggest point that we like to drive is A, ease of use, but B, having paper-based records really in this day and age is becoming very, very difficult to manage. Another big part of Field ID are mobile devices. So a lot of times you'll go out into the field, you'll do an inspection, you'll come back, you'll have to put that information into a filing system or even in an Excel spreadsheet. With Field ID, you can use a wide variety of mobile devices to completely digitize the inspection process. So imagine going out in the field with a rugged handheld like you see on the right-hand side, or a device such as a tablet, such as an iPad, using an RFID reader, scanning a piece of equipment, and then doing the inspection. There's no more paperwork. There's nothing to do. Field ID runs on many, many mobile devices and many more to come down the road. You know, at the end of the day, Field ID provides a huge efficiency increase, so you can do more inspections, you can do less paperwork, but the honest truth is safety compliance is a giant liability, not only for yourselves, but for your end user customers. You have customers that want to be able to see their rigging inspections, their certificates immediately. With Field ID, you don't have to worry about your customers not having this information, and more importantly, your customers don't have to worry about not having this information. Field ID stores everything for you electronically. RFID has been a big buzzword in North America over the last 3 years in the lifting community. In North America, RFID technology has taken off quite a bit, and I would say a good portion of our customers use a combination of RFID or serial numbers or RFID exclusively. So we have a whole mix of customers that use it. What is RFID? RFID stands for radio frequency identification. A lot of our customers that aren't in rigging use barcodes, but barcodes aren't a good environment, aren't good in the environment that we're in. Rigging equipment and lifting equipment is in rugged environments. It could be offshore oil. Barcodes literally have a hard time surviving those type of environments. The reason RFID has taken off is it's a little tiny chip that can be embedded into a chain tag, for example, or embedded into a synthetic sling. It doesn't require a line of sight, so you can literally read the RFID chip similar to how you would use a speed pass or a building access card. Just like that, you can scan something and you're identify it immediately. RFID is a globally unique identification number, so there's never a chance of duplication. The standard that's very popular amongst the lifting and rigging community is an ISO standard. So it's not a proprietary technology. It's ISO 15693. Uses a high-frequency technology, which is 13.56 megahertz. For people that maybe aren't as familiar with RFID, think of RFID as a barcode on steroids. It's just a big, long serial number. It's a quick and convenient way to serialize an asset. And the cost of the chips are quite low now. In US dollars, it's well under $1 US. So it's now getting in the much less than the sub-dollar range, which is quite cost effective. The way that RFID technology works, it doesn't have any batteries in it. It doesn't have a power source. It collects energy from the reader, let's say a mobile device, collects the energy from that mobile device, and then uses that energy to transmit a signal. So that the chip in the RFID device collects that energy, powers the chip, and then sends the signal back. That's it. So it doesn't have any power source, so it is intrinsically safe as well. Just for curiosity's sake, I put a couple of sample tags on here so you can see what RFID looks like. Here's a very common tag that people put on many different types of equipment. So this can be placed on a ladder, for example. This can be placed on a harness. It's very, very common. This is something that is placed on a lot of rigging equipment. It's what we call a retrofit kit. So you can use your existing metal chain tags as well as add this to add a additional RFID element. Or you can even have chain tags that look like this. As a software company, we partner with RFID companies such as Holland 1916, who was at the LEEA show. There are many RFID manufacturers all over the world, so RFID, again, is just a really quick way to identify a lifting device, but is not mandatory. I'm going to switch gears now, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the software now. I've put our information out there, so if you want to contact myself or anyone in the company, please do so. You can go to our website here. I'm going to go ahead and switch gears to show you the software now. Just give me a second. And you should see the Field ID system in your screen right now. So Field ID, we have been around since 2004 as a company. Field ID, the system, has been introduced in 2007. Field ID is a very mature system. It's used by thousands of people across the world, including companies and organizations such as Rio Tinto, GE, and even the U.S. government uses our system. So all of your data is safe and secure. A lot of times people ask us, Field ID, is that a cloud-based system? Absolutely. Field ID is a cloud-based system. It does not require an IT infrastructure. You don't need IT staff to manage Field ID. You also don't need servers to manage Field ID. We really think that this is the wave of the future, and we really stand behind Field ID being extremely stable and a rock-solid system. Field ID is hosted literally across multiple data centers around the world. We use Rackspace, which is a publicly traded company, to host our data. So in regards to, is my data safe? Is my data accessible at all times? Absolutely. Firstly, the data is always yours. It belongs to you. And the data is always safe because we use such a strong infrastructure. And if you want further details about the systems and the safeguards and the security that we provide for all of our customers, we are more than happy to share this with you after the presentation. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And right when I log in, I'm brought to what we call the Field ID dashboard. So imagine, right now, you probably don't have visibility into your organization. Right when you log into the Field ID system, the dashboard gives you a glance view of how your organization is doing across divisions, across customers, however you want to set it up. So this is a dashboard that's customizable, and I'm going to show you some of the neat features of the dashboard. So for example, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. This rectangle here is assets by status. So you can see all of your lifting equipment by what status they're in. For example, out of service, in service. You can even have statuses such as rented, rented out, or damaged. On the right-hand side, we have a customized dashboard that says assets identified. So as a business, you can see how many assets you've identified over the last year, the last month. So you can say, oh, you know what, it looks like in May there were many more assets that we identified. Was that a good month for us? Etc. On the left-hand side, we have upcoming schedules. So you can see, you know what, it looks like on January 7th we have a lot of upcoming inspections. Maybe I need to bring in more staff to handle that. It just gives you a quick glance of your organization. Some of the more advanced things that you can do is you can set up KPIs or key performance indicators. So you can compare, one customer versus the next or another. You can compare one job site versus another. It allows you to do that level of comparison. So for big customers or for big users that have multiple branches, for example, you can see how one's doing versus another. As well, you can go ahead and see things like completed inspections. So you can see, you know what, it looks like in July there's a lot more inspections that we completed versus August. Again, it shows you a nice graphical view of your organization and how you're doing. So I'm going to go through a very common scenario. I'm going to identify a synthetic sling. For the first time, I manufactured a synthetic sling. I'm going to identify it, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a pull test on that piece of equipment. So I'm going to go ahead by clicking at the very top section. You'll notice that the interface for Field ID is very lightweight and fast. We like to take cues from companies like Google, for example, which people like because it's fast, lightweight, fast loading, easy to use. That's how our system is. It's extremely fast, easy to use, easy to set up. I'm going to go to New Asset. And right when I go to New Asset, I'm going to go ahead and search for a new asset of synthetic sling. When I do that, it'll change the attributes of that asset to be specific to a synthetic sling. So for example, I'm going to enter in a new serial number. And again, there are many details that I'm going to gloss over because we only have 45 minutes. But there are many, many ways to identify assets in Field ID. I'm going to go ahead and type in the serial number. If I had an RFID chip attached to this piece of equipment, I could go ahead and scan it. So I went ahead and scanned that piece of equipment. And that's it. That's what RFID is. It's just a big, long serial number. I'm going to assign it to a customer, in this case, customer 7. You can even add information such as the purchase order number. And then I'm going to quickly fill in the information that's specific to a synthetic sling. So again, this is all customizable exactly to how you want. And you can even have this information so that it auto-populates. It's completely up to you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I have a couple options. I can save this or I can save and start an event. In this case, you know what? I'm going to do a pull test, so I'm going to save and start an event. You'll notice when I do that, on the right-hand side, I have options of what events I can perform on that synthetic sling. So you can see that I have a pull test, I have a synthetic sling thorough examination, I have a water bag test. I'm going to go ahead and conduct a pull test. Field ID integrates with all of the major pull test machines, whether it's a Roberts, Chant, WireUp. Out of the box, Field ID works and integrates with those other systems. We have great relationships with them. So to conduct a pull test, you just manufactured something. You pick what kind of pull test machine you have. In this case, I'm going to pick a Roberts log file. I'm going to go ahead and pick the log file. As everyone that's familiar with the way these pull test machines work, they typically produce a log file, or you can manually enter in the pull test values. It's up to you. And you can upload a picture as well if you wanted to. I'm going to hit Save, And that's it. So what we've done in review is we've created a new piece of equipment called SRT22, which is a synthetic sling, and we've done a pull test. So now, if I wanted to find that piece of equipment, I can go ahead and type in SRT22 at any time within Field ID, and I'm brought to the profile page for this specific synthetic sling. So just like with Facebook or LinkedIn, where every person has a profile page, with Field ID, every asset has a profile page. So you can go ahead and you can see all of the basic information that you're used to seeing about a synthetic sling. For example, what is the serial number, or what is the RFID number? I'm going to go ahead and show you that. The information starts off at a very high level, so you'll be able to see all of that. Then you'll have more detailed information. For example, what's the status of this piece of equipment? Who's it assigned to? What customer is it at? And what are the attributes of this specific synthetic sling? So you can see that they're right here. On the left-hand side, you'll notice what we call the activity feed. This will show you the last event performed and the next scheduled event. So you can see the last event performed was a pull test, which was performed today. We can view this event just by clicking there. What's really neat is we can pull the pull test graph directly into the website, so you don't even have to download a document. You can see it right online. So for the lifting and rigging organizations out there, this is the best way to create a close link with your customers. You know, what better way than them having to log into your system to get this information? You can see all the information is being extracted, and at any time, you can print out a report that's completely branded. So these logos would be replaced with your logos, and you would be able to see everything and provide this to your customer. You'll also notice that on the left side, it'll show you the next scheduled event. So there is a synthetic sling thorough examination due in 365 days. It automatically knew that and automatically scheduled that. If we click on the event history, we can see everything that was done to this piece of equipment. If we click on the schedules, we can see what needs to be done in the future. So what I've done so far is I've identified a piece of equipment and I've done a pull test. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend, let's pretend it's a year down the road. And I'm going to go to my customer 7 and I'm going to do a visual inspection. This is where Field ID really starts to show its power. Everyone can now see the handheld on their screen. So this is a rugged handheld made by Motorola, one of our partners. And you'll notice that the look and the feel of the handheld is identical to the web. So if you know how to use the web, you know how to use the handheld. And if you know how to use the handheld, you know how to use the web. So I'm going to go through the same workflow. I can either scan an RFID chip by pressing the scan button, or I can go ahead and type it in, SRT22. You'll notice how it auto-completed that. I'm going to hit load, and I have all of the information that's available online available in the palm of my hand. These handhelds do not require the internet. They work in many different ways. They can work and sync over Wi-Fi. You can connect it to your laptop, or they can be connected to a cellular network, and you can use this as a phone as well. Field ID is just an app on this device, as you can see. So, you know, you just are using the Field ID app on the device. Right away, you can see all the details of the synthetic sling that we just created a couple of minutes ago. You can see the details, the attributes, as well as upcoming schedules. So as I said, we're going to pretend this is a year down the road, and I'm at the customer, and I'm going to go ahead and perform a synthetic sling thorough examination. I can either choose to perform an ad hoc by clicking Start Event and picking it from here, or I can choose to do the scheduled one here. I'm going to go ahead and do that scheduled inspection. Hit Start. Now, doing an inspection in Field ID is as simple as clicking on the screen. So we come out of the box with, you know, industry standard inspection checklist, but you can create your own either from scratch or you can modify ours. It's completely up to you. In Field ID, inspections are divided out into sections. In this case, there's only one section. And here's the list of criteria. It couldn't get any easier with Field ID. Literally all you do is click on the screen to do an inspection. So for example, legible or missing tag, you just touch the screen with your finger or a stylus and you can change it just like that. I'm going to make the screen a little bit bigger so you can see that. You literally scroll down the screen and you can change any criteria that you want as simply as that. With every criteria, you have the ability to list a recommendation or a deficiency. So you can go ahead and say legible or missing tag failed, and you can click on the white eye to list a recommendation, or you can click on the red hand to list a deficiency. I'm going to go ahead and click the red hand, and I'm going to go ahead and say, you know what, the tag is broken. And then with Field ID, you can take it a step further, and you can actually take a picture of the deficiency. So you know what, I actually have a synthetic sling up on my wall over here. So we find a lot of our rigging and lifting customers, they find taking pictures are now becoming an absolute necessity. So I actually have a synthetic sling on my wall here. I'm going to take a picture of it. There we go. I've taken a picture of that synthetic sling. And I'm going to associate it to the same deficiency, tag is broken. And I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can see this. And then I'm going to hit done. And you can add as many pictures as you want. Hit done. And now you'll notice that there's a little green plus sign that says there's a deficiency listed there. After I do the entire inspection, I would go and set an overall status and say, you know, let's say failed, and I'm going to say this is needs repair. I hit submit, and that's it. There's no more paperwork. There's no more coming back to the office. I can literally go back online if I sync the handheld through the web, and I can notice right away that there is on this same asset, there is a synthetic sling thorough exam that failed. I can view the results immediately online. I can see the legible or missing tag failed. I can see the tag is broken. I can even see any pictures that were associated to it. So I can see the picture that I took, and I can make it bigger if I wanted to. And the best part is you have a report that is automatically generated with your logos immediately available. So you can see legible or missing tag failed. And then you can see all of the information available right online, including the picture that was taken. So this really goes above and beyond increasing safety as well as providing the best service to your end users. At this point, what you could do is you can start a new event, and you can say, you know what, I'm going to do a repair on this piece of equipment to have the full audit trail. I'm going to go ahead and say, you know, the cost was $50, and I'm going to say, I'm going to write comments. I'm going to say we corrected the damage, and then you can even attach, right online, you can attach pictures, for example, if you wanted to, of the repair. You can hit store, save, and that's it. You have now changed you now have a full view of your asset. So you can say the repair was conducted, it now passes the inspection. So at a high level, what we did was we've identified a new synthetic sling, we did an initial pull test, and then we went back to your customers with a handheld device to actually do a thorough examination or visual inspection on that piece of equipment. With Field ID, there's two more areas I want to go over just to show you some of the other features of the software before I open it up to questions. Reporting in Field ID is very powerful. For example, let's say you wanted to see all of the inspections done on your synthetic slings in the month of December, and you wanted to see everything that was done. Quite simply, that's it. That's all you have to do. You have a list that you can then export to Excel. So imagine being able to give this report to your customers. or even having your customers log in as a read-only viewable account to do this kind of reports themselves. So with Field ID, your customers can log in and they can only see their data. So if you had multiple customers, they would only see their data and they can run these reports. What better way to keep them, to keep them your customers, because that building of that inspection history would be exclusive to you. You can then print out all the reports at once, and you can provide them with one big file. So if one of your customers asks, guys, I have an auditor here, there's an investigation, I need all of my certificates, can you please send it to me? You can do it right away. Another great area of the system is the scheduling. So how do I know what's upcoming, and how do I know what I need to do? With Field ID, it can manage everything from your chain slings to your synthetic slings to individual customers that have specific requirements. So for example, if I wanted to see all of the upcoming synthetic sling inspections, I can hit run, and everything that's in red is upcoming. Sorry, it's past due, and everything that's white is upcoming. So you can see I have a synthetic sling inspection that is past due, 460 days. It's a little bit made up, but you can see how this would become very powerful. One more feature that I want to show you is kind of a sales and marketing tool. With Field ID, you have the ability, and your customers do as well if you give them login access, the ability to create their own email notifications. So everyone can go to email notifications. You can go to create my first email notification, and all you do is answer a bunch of questions. It's very simple. So let's say I wanted to see my synthetic sling examinations coming up. All I would do is answer a bunch of questions. When do I want to get this email delivered? Let's say I want to get this every Monday, and I want to see upcoming events starting today for the next 1 week, and I want to see everything that's overdue as well. And then it gets a little bit more detailed. What asset do I want to see? Just my synthetic sling. And by default, it'll email me, but I can create a distribution list of emails. So imagine, it's sort of like email marketing, but it's providing you and your customers with a value-added email that's telling them, look, you need to do these inspections, you should give us a call, and we can be there to do that inspection. So I'm going to go ahead and add the safety manager to this list as well. So at a high level, I've shown you how to create an asset, do a pull test, do a thorough examination on a handheld device. Then we've come back to the web to do some reporting and scheduling. Field ID has a very, very powerful setup section that allows you to set up every part of the system, right from your branding to your time zone to the different users in the system, as well as the checklist in the system. So for example, if you didn't like the way I did the synthetic sling thorough examination, you can edit that extremely simply. This is where Field ID really goes above and beyond other software out there. It's just the ease of use. So for example, you remember criteria. We only had one section in our synthetic sling thorough examination. These are the questions underneath each section. So for example, say you wanted to add a new question. I'm going to add a question, is the sky blue, just to show you the flexibility of the system. I'm going to go ahead and add that new criteria, and I have different types of input that can be collected. In this case, I'm going to call this a one-click button. What's a one-click button? It's what we use on the handheld to quickly go through a pass or fail state. I'm going to add that, and you'll notice, is the sky blue has a pass or fail state. I'm going to go ahead and change that to a yes or no question. And that's it. We've added a new question in literally 5 seconds. So I've quickly shown you some of the setup part, but there's so much more that we can show you. There is an online demo that goes into more details about each individual section, but I wanted to make sure that we had enough time to answer any questions that anyone might have. So let's open. It's 35 minutes into the actual presentation right now, and I know I said I want to respect your time. We set this out for 45 minutes. I want to open it up to any questions anyone might have. Please feel free to use the question tool in or the chat device in GoToMeeting, which is located on the right-hand side. You know, while we're waiting for questions, you feel free to contact anyone in our sales team or myself to ask any further questions. I will put up the previous slide so you get more information about us. But if you have any questions in regards to RFID, mobile devices, or deployment, please go ahead and ask. Just to, while we're waiting for questions, I will go ahead and tell you a little bit about the deployment of Field ID. For people that are interested in knowing what it takes to get Field ID up and running, literally it's like signing up for a Hotmail account or a Gmail account. You sign up for the system, you'll get a welcome email. We have a full success team here. Now, what's a success team? They'll help you with training and support. So we give you 4 hours initially of online training, similar to what we're doing here. That gets your system up and running. Everything from branding to your checklist for your examinations to the way that you do pull test. We walk you through that process. We guide you through that process. We've done this, as I mentioned, for lifting and rigging organizations for over 50 to 60 organizations. So we know how to do this really well. We would put you through a training process, get you trained up, and you can get up and running with the system in a matter of days if you have the time. That's the beauty of Field ID. It is a completely cloud-based system with resources available, including online webinars, online videos, a 1-800 number, email support, as well as online customer forums where you can discuss and talk about future features. Field ID is a very fast-growing product, and it is being updated every 6 weeks. So you'll notice that we put in new features every 6 weeks, which is available for everyone. I have a question in regards to a lot of people have developed their own systems. How can they integrate the RFID into their their own system? So the best approach to that is, if you have an Excel-based or Access-based system, we can import all of that data into Field ID so you don't lose any of the data that you've built over time. And then from there, you can access the handheld devices and the RFID readers. So you wouldn't lose anything. We can import all of that data. When we have customers that use paper-based systems, so that's a lot harder to do. If you have it in electronic format, we can automatically import that in. That, again, is something that our success team does. So you wouldn't have to maintain that Access database anymore. We would manage that for you, and then you'd be able to have that RFID capability. There's a question about, are there any preferred mobile devices for reading RFID? In terms of the devices that we use, we partner with many companies. So in terms of mobile devices, we work with companies such as Motorola, Scion, Techlogix, as well as Intermec. So we work across the board with many different companies, as well as consumer devices as well. We are coming with an iPad version of the system and an Android version of the system in Q1, in the first quarter of 2012. Those will be RFID capable as well. So you'll be able to use a Bluetooth device to RFID connect to one of these devices. So you have the option of using a rugged device or a consumer device, such as an Android device, as well as an iOS Apple device. We have another question in regards, does it work on a Samsung Galaxy 2? It will be compatible in Q1 2012. That is something that we're working on. If you do visit our Twitter page at twitter.com/FieldID or our customer page, customers.fieldid.com, you can actually see how our developers are working on the next generation platforms such as Android and iOS. So it's quite interesting that you can see that. So to specifically answer your question, it is not available on the Samsung Galaxy 2 right now, but will be in Q1 2012. If anyone is interested in a deep dive of the system, please contact someone here at Field ID. We do have a sales team who are there to cater towards getting you up and running with the system. So let us know what we can do to further the relationship. We are definitely very much involved in LEEA now, as well as AWRF here in North America. And we are going to attend upcoming shows as well. So I just wanted to thank everyone for joining the webinar. We really appreciate your time. Once again, our email address is listed there. Contact us at any time. You will receive a follow-up from someone in our sales team. So, please look out for that over the next couple of days. Thanks, and have a great day.